Hey everyone, Clawland here with another episode of Left Hand Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at Die Burgen von Burgund, also known as the Castles of Burgundy. This is a Stefan Feld game that was published in 2011 and primarily uses dice rolling and action allowance for its main mechanics. Basically, you are a wealthy prince in 15th century France, and you're going to be purchasing various tiles that you're going to place into your estate. The goal of the game is to get the most victory points based on the tiles that you place in your estate and trading goods. So let's take a look at what comes in the box. Castles of Burgundy comes in your standard Ravensburger Elias size box. You can see on the side here this is number 14 in their collection. And first thing we have here is dice. Each player gets 2 dice, and there is a white dice that is used once each turn. You have 2 player pieces in each color. And you have all the various tiles in the game. Looks like some of them came loose here, but essentially these are, this is not, did not come with the game. This is a Chess X counter tray. I think GMT would probably work a little better, but this is what I had on hand. We also have the game board here, if I can get it out. It's a just a single folded game board. Some player aids here that I printed off of BGG. This tells all the definitions of the yellow special tiles, as well as all the actions you can take and all the other tiles. Little goods tile that fell out of the counter tray. And of course we have our instructions. This is a full color instruction book, written very well, very easy to understand, plenty of examples. And then we have all the various player boards. Dump these out here. Oh, the game also comes with some instruction booklets in other languages. That's for the, this is the international edition. If you purchase the English edition, which says actually the Castles of Burgundy on the cover, I believe that only comes with an English rule book. So here we have our player boards. They are double-sided, which is very nice. And there are, I believe, 4 player boards that are identical. They have a number 1 on the board to indicate they are, configuration number 1. For example, here's one of them. And then on the opposite sides are many different ones. So the instruction manual suggests that the first time you play, everyone plays on side 1 to get a feel of the game. And then from then on, you can divvy up the custom ones, or the non-identical ones, to kind of vary your gameplay experience. So let me set up a game, and we'll go through the rules. So here's the game board mostly set up. Just a couple little things that I wanted to mention is that all the tiles that I showed you earlier, you're going to want to divide up by their back, the color of their backs. And what you're going to do is seed the board with the matching colors. So you can see here, this is the tan color, so you're going to put a tan tile there, which would be this color here. So you take that and you'd put it here, and then you can see this is a yellow, so you're going to take the yellow tile and put it here. As you're drawing these tiles from the supply, they're obviously going to be turned upside down, so you don't know what you're going to be putting on the board until you flip it over and reveal it and place it. The numbers that you saw on there correspond to the number of players. So this game does scale very well. So if you're playing just a 2-player game, you'll only cover up the spaces that have a 2 on them. And same with 3 players and 4 players, you're going to cover up everything. So we'll put those here. Now, the slight exception to the color rule, or the only thing that's a little funky, is in the center here, these are all black spaces. But you can see the color of the tiles are not black, but the backs of them are black. So the black tiles are special. This is kind of the marketplace area, and on their fronts are going to be any of the other colors. So I'll finish seeding this with the black back tiles. And you can tell that they are the black ones on the front because they have a black dot on them. So going over the other parts of the board here, we have the victory point track on the side here. We have the turn order track here. It's going to go from right to left and top to bottom in the stack. You also have various depots here corresponding to various dice rolls, and you can see the dice number right there. This is depot 5. And then you also have the bonus victory point tokens here. And then take a quick look at the player board. We have an area over here for our silverlings. Silverlings are the money, so you're going to store those here. You have 3 storage spaces for goods, and when you start the game, each player is going to get 3 random goods. They're going to flip them over and place them on their goods storage. If you have like colored tiles, they are going to stack on top of each other. So if you haven't figured that out, you can only have 2 or 3 different color goods at a time. 1, 2, 3. This 4th space here is when you sell the goods, you're going to flip them over and place them here. We also have a bonus victory point track, and I'll go over that when we get to it, but this is how you calculate the bonus victory points. You have a nice little visual overview of all the various tiles and what they do. You have a place down here to store your workers. Workers you can use on your turn to modify your dice rolls, +1 or -1. You have a holding area here for 3 tiles. And you have your estate where you're going to be placing the tiles. And here on the side it shows you the 4 different main actions you can take on your turn and a 5th optional action. And at the top here a little storage area for your used dice. So, the first thing that's going to happen when a round starts is you're going to take these goods tiles here. These are stacked 5 goods tiles in each stack, and you're going to flip them down like this at the beginning of a round, or beginning of a game phase, so to speak. And then what's going to happen is everyone is going to roll both of their dice simultaneously. The person who's going first is also going to roll the white die. So we'll roll these dice. And we rolled a 6, a 5, and a 1. The 1 simply tells you where you're going to place a good, what depot to place a good on. So you're going to take the topmost good and place it on the 1 depot, because the die was a 1. And that is all the white die is used. Then everyone's going to complete their actions. They'll go around the table, all the players will complete their actions, and that's the end of a round. And then the person who is the starting player, as determined on the player turn track, will roll the white dice as well as their other dice, and this will get placed in the corresponding depot of that second white die roll. So you can see these goods here are going to be depleted. After you deplete all 5, you're going to scrape all the unpurchased tiles off the board, flip over the next 5, boom, 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 and you'll go through those 5 rounds again. So in essence, you can see there are 5 main game parts or phases, however you want to think about it, each comprised of 5 different rounds, so there will be a total of 25 turns in the game. Once you use up that 25th good, which would be the last one on this spot, of course, then the game is over, and you calculate victory points and see who won. So let me take you through some of the basic rules and how it works. So on your turn, the dice that you rolled, you complete 1 action per die. So let's go over the actions. The first action you can take is grabbing a tile from the board and placing it onto the holding area in your estate. The way you do that is you use a die of you pick one of your dice, and you will grab, in this case, if you use the 5, you can grab 1 tile from the 5 depot and place it in your holding area, and then that die is used. The second action that you can take is placing a tile from your holding area onto your estate. The way that works is the die that you use is the die number on the space in which you're going to place that particular tile. So for example, let's say earlier I had purchased a mine here, a gray mine, and let's say I rolled a 4. I can place the mine right here because this is a 4 space, it's gray, matches the mine, so I use the 4 to place it on the 4 mine spot. The other trick is that it must be adjacent to another placed tile, so you can't just cherry pick and stick them all over the board. Everything must be adjacent. So that's the second. The third action you can take is selling goods. All the goods have a die number on them, and what you're going to do is use a die of the associated number to sell all the goods of one particular type. So let's say I had a 6. I can use the 6 to sell all my number 6 goods, which would be these 2 goods. I take them and I flip them over and put them there so I know that I sold them. Now the points that you get works like this. You're going to get the number of players times the number of tiles sold in points. So in the case of a 4-player game, for each good tile that you sell, you will earn 4 points. So in this case, let's assume it was a 4-player game. I sold 2 tiles, I would get 8 points. And you collect 1 silverling from the bank. 1 and only 1, no matter how many tiles that you sell. So you grab that silverling and put it in your silverling holding area. So that is the third action of selling goods. And the fourth action that you can take is basically trashing one of your dice to take 2 worker tiles from the supply. Now worker tiles allow you to modify your die rolls by +1 or -1, and they also roll over from 6 to 1 and 1 to 6. You can also use multiple worker tiles on a single die. So if you had a 1, you could use 2 of these to turn that 1 into a 3, for example. So that's a great way to get over the randomness of the dice, is you can always use these workers to modify them. So those are the 4 main actions. So after you complete any 2 of those, and you can complete the same one twice if you so choose, you would then have the optional 5th action you can take, which is spending 2 silverlings to purchase any one of the tiles here in the marketplace, those black-backed tiles. So silverlings are pretty scarce in the game, so a lot of the time you will not have the resources to purchase those center tiles. Also, if your holding area is full, you cannot buy another tile to put into the holding area. There is no possible way to grab directly from the board and place directly onto your estate. It always has to go to the holding area first. What's the purpose of all these tiles? Well, every time you place a tile onto your estate, it triggers a special action associated with that tile. So these are the different tile types. We have the castle. When you place the castle onto your estate, it basically gives you a free extra turn with a die of any number. Meaning, once you place this, you immediately pretend you have an imaginary die of any number and complete a die action with that number. So, if say there was a great tile on the number 4 depot, but I didn't roll a 4, but I did roll a number that allowed me to place this on my estate. I'd place it there, and then I'd pretend with my bonus extra turn from the castle that I had a 4 die, and I grab a tile from the 4 and put it in my holding area. So this is a very powerful tile, and of course they're highly sought after. We have the animal tiles. There are, I believe, 4 or 5 different animal types in the game, and these must be placed in your pasture. And you score points equal to the number of animals there are on the tile. So this would score 2 points when you place it in the pasture. Now you get bonus points for like animals in the same pasture. So if I had 2 sheep already here, and then I place these 2 sheep in the same pasture. This is the same pasture, of course. This over here is a separate pasture. So if I had 2 here, I placed this second 2 here, I would score 2 points, obviously, for this tile that I'm placing, and you'd also score 2 points for the existing sheep. So there is a reason why you would want to place like animals. The silver tiles are the mines. The mines are actually the only tile in which a special bonus action is not triggered when you place the mine. When you place a mine here, at the beginning of each game round, that is, each time you put new tiles here, so there will be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although the first one obviously doesn't count, so 4 remaining ones. You get 1 silverling for each mine that you have. And you can see there's space for 3 mines, so you have the potential of getting 3 silverlings at the beginning of each game round, and that can be very valuable. You have the yellow knowledge tiles. These just provide endgame bonuses, or during game bonuses and rules breaking for the particular player that places them. This particular one states that for every City Hall building tile that you place, at the end of the game you'll get 4 points. So if I have 3 of those, this tile is worth 12 points. So now that I mentioned buildings, let's look at a building tile. So here is a building. This is the bank. And when you place the bank, it gives you 2 silverlings. And there's other buildings, some that allow you to grab a particular color tile from the board immediately, some that just give you straight victory points, some that allow you to sell goods immediately. All sorts of cool different actions you can have with the buildings. But the catch with the buildings is you cannot by default have the same building in the same township. Each collection of these beige tan spots is considered its own town. So you cannot have multiples of the same building in the same town, but you could have multiples in different towns. Now there's a yellow knowledge tile that will break that rule. So that's a good one to get. And then finally here we have the boats. When you play a boat onto your board, you're immediately going to advance 1 on the turn track. You also are going to grab all of the goods tiles from one of the depots. So that is the way that you acquire goods tiles. So in this case there's only 1 there, so I would take it and add it to my storage area here. But if there were multiple goods tiles on the board and some can stack up with several goods tiles, you can choose to take those and put them on your board so you can sell them later for points. So that's basically the ebb and flow of the game. You're going to be using your 2 dice to buy various tiles, putting them in your holding area, using those tiles from your holding area, placing them on your estate, and triggering those special actions. Some other special rules to be aware of is that when you fill up an entire area of one color, so if I filled up this entire pasture, you're going to get bonus points. You're immediately going to get points on this point tracker that I mentioned earlier, equal to the size of the area that you just filled. So in the case of that pasture example, there are 5 tiles here in the pasture. I look at this chart, a 5 tile area would give me 15 points. So you're going to get 15 points immediately, and you're also going to get points equal to the game round. So if we look up here, if we were still in the first round of the game, you get an additional 10 points for a total of 25 points. So filling up those areas early is good, because as the game goes on, the point values for that particular bonus decrease. You can also see here that there are some one-offs. Here's a one-off, here's a one-off, and so when you fill these, the bonus you get is only 1 point, but depending on what round it's in, you'll still get those points. So if you can get those one-offs full quickly, you're going to get quick, big points. Also, if you happen to fill up all the tiles of a particular color on your entire estate, so say all of the blue tiles, then you're going to take a bonus tile here, a blue bonus tile. And this was going to give you immediate victory points depending on the number of players. So 5, 6, and 7 just indicates if there are 2, 3, or 4 players. So in a 4-player game, I would get the 7 points. And then the second person to fill up all of the blue tiles in this case would get the smaller victory point bonus, which is with a 4-player game worth 4 points. So at the end of the game, after the 25th turn is played, you're going to tally up all the points from your knowledge tiles. You're going to tally up all the points from your bonus tiles. Each silverling that you have is worth 1 point. Every, I believe, 2 workers, or every 4 workers is worth 1 point. And any points that you have from various buildings, for example, you can see here the watchtower there on the right side is worth 4 points for each watchtower. And whoever has the most points wins. So what do I think about Die Bergen? Well, I love this game. This is probably, it is my favorite game of 2011. And if you look in my collection, it is probably my highest rated game in my collection. I've played it many times. And it's a lot of fun each time you play, especially once everyone gets the rules down. Then you can start using those alternate player boards where everyone's different. So everyone's going to have totally different strategies, because some are going to have larger areas that they're going to want to fill up for those big points. more so than others, and there's all sorts of different strategies that you can take. Also, those knowledge tiles give you so many ways to score and so many different combos that you can add in. And that's what this game revolves around, is big combos with the tiles. So there are knowledge tiles, for example, that will allow you to trade in 1 die for 4 workers instead of 2 workers, which is huge. There are those knowledge tiles that allow you to put the same building in a particular township. So say, for example, those banks that give you 2 silverlings, or the watchtowers that give you 4 points. If you only have a couple townships on your estate, you're limited to a couple each of those buildings. But if you can put multiple ones in the same township, you can be stacking victory points like crazy, or silverlings like crazy, which essentially convert to victory points at the end. There's all sorts of awesome combos that you can do in the game, which is what makes it so much fun, and there's a ton of different ways to score. So you have all those bonus scoring, you have the knowledge tile scoring, and then you have the remaining endgame scoring. You can sell your goods for points. So there's a lot of versatility in the game, and that's why I really enjoy it. The components are Aaliyah. Aaliyah is a budget game manufacturer. So the tiles are pretty thin. The game board is small, but it's not bad. It is so worth the money that don't even let that concern you. Some people have opted to laminate the player sheets. They are relatively thin, but they're a glossy stock, so I think as long as you're careful, they'll last you a little while. And actually, the dice are a pretty nice dice. They're small, but they have a good weight behind them. So I really can't complain much about this game. It is so much fun, and analysis paralysis really isn't much of a problem because there's only 4 different actions that you can take, and you only have 2 that you take per turn. And yeah, some people will sit there and think about what's the best way to combo. Use 1 die to uh-oh, there goes Hannibal. So you can use 1 die to, say, cash in for some workers, and then immediately use those workers to modify a die, so you can grab place a castle on your estate, which then gives you another action, and to say now you're going to sell some of your goods and get more points. So some people will take a few minutes to think about those, but overall the game does flow very quickly, and I would highly recommend it. A good score is on a 4-player game. I've seen plenty of people score over 200 points, around the 220 region. So if you haven't given this game a shot and you like Euros and you like die rolling, you owe it to yourself to give this game a shot. It is excellent. So definitely play this. Get out there, find a copy before they're long gone, and give the Castles of Burgundy a try. Awesome game. Thanks for watching.